Hello everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is another little labyrinth, and I thought for this episode, and maybe for some other episodes, I would talk about interesting questions. So we'll have a musical move that I want to look at, but the main idea is about asking ourselves interesting questions about the materials we're working with. Instead of just adding more and more materials, look at what we have and how can we ask questions about combining them or mixing principles in a way that is respectful of what we like about those things, but maybe find something new to explore. It can be really a creatively productive thing to do. So what I did this morning, I had a question for myself, which I often kind of start the day with when thinking about musical ideas, as some questions will come to mind that I want to explore. And so I was walking my dog, and I was thinking about borrowing. And borrowing on minor 6 chords, for example, is one, but borrowing on anything. So say I'm playing C7 to F major, and I'm going to play the tritones minor, which is instead of C7, I play C sharp minor 6, and then I borrow, right? And then, so that's all pretty, and I like to do that a lot. Borrowing is really beautiful. But I was thinking about how we borrow on the octatonic, and how C sharp minor 6 has, of course, this diminished. That's in there. So, but borrow, if I view this chord as something that I want to situate in an octatonic for a moment, so it's kind of, sorry. That kind of thing. Missed it. There we go. So I'm putting this chord in an octatonic, and then that means, if you've looked at the octatonic episode, I can borrow a whole step above any note in this chord. So I could go. So what that gets me is sometimes it gets me a note that's already in C sharp minor 6 diminished, the tritones minor. But sometimes it gives me a note that I don't have in that scale. In this case, I'm playing F. Maybe it's easier to play there, and then I can do what I like to do, which is borrow below this A by borrowing. This F does not live in a C sharp minor 6 diminished scale, because C sharp minor 6, right, is those notes, and I skip right over the F, right there. It's not in the scale. So I'm playing, and so that's pretty to me, and it kind of expands the color. So I'll do it normally in the scale. Here it is in the scale without that, and that's pretty too. This is borrowing from the minor 6 note E. But then what about? And then I added a little contrary motion. So I'm resolving, and then I go to the minor 6. I borrow within the scale on that one. And then I took this little space, and I went down parallel with this broken chord that's in my drop 2. I went down parallel motion to the diminished right there, and then I'm going to go by contrary motion to an octave chord, but I didn't even fill it in. I just went just these, because it's kind of like, so that's the sound I'm going for. Or I could go, do something like that, but I didn't. So I'm going to move that up, and I'll have the chord chart kind of show you this move in a little bit more detail. So starting from the beginning, so this is here, right, and then whoops, or the full way. It's pretty. So now I'll do it, and the next position up. So I'm going to go to the next diminished chord within C sharp minor 6, diminished. So here's this one. I go up C sharp minor 6. So here I am at the 6th and 5th fret. So I'm going to go, and then that's that. So this, I'm just thinking like it's an ending of a song, and I'm just playing a 5 chord, you know, right? So just moving 5 to 1. So that was that one. I'll do that again one more time. That was pretty. 1 to 2. So that is so. So that's that. Next is here, F sharp in the bass. So this is the diminished here, and I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go to, ooh, that's funky. And then I go, I'll do that again. So, that's pretty. So that's got a lot of color, because here, see it should be like that. That's what's happening in the scale. But instead I go, so that's that move, and then I'll go up. I could do it up here, but I'll do it here instead. So I had the 4th in the bass, and now I believe, so that was, now I have to go up and have the sharp 5 in the bass. So here I am, and then, whoops. That's pretty. So that is, so I'm doing, here's my diminished, and then I go down to the, maybe drop 2. So those are some pretty results. And I don't even know when I don't necessarily know in my thinking while I'm doing this which ones are diatonic to C sharp minor 6 diminished. But this one might be. No, it's not. Because see, this would be. So this note, a whole step above my diminished, acting like I'm in octatonic. See, that's the same type of. That's the same idea, just realized a little bit differently, but the same idea of being on the diminished, it's the same idea, just taking the diminished and borrowing a whole step above instead of whatever is diatonic. But I do like this one. What about, oh, I have an idea. I'll go up one more. Oh yeah, this is, so I'll go up one more. I got a little more space. And then I'm going to go, and then, what about this? So what I did there to finish it off is C sharp minor 6, and then I'm a half step below. So this is based off of scale degree 7 in the scale, which is really pretty. And that's back to where I began. Whoops. Right? It's like that. And then, but then here when I got to this, I borrowed diatonically, just diminished note. And then did some thirds. Whoops. So that's the idea. I'll have some. I'll screenshot some chord charts up from the app. Almost done with. I know I keep saying that, but I really am. It's just a little bit of work. And there'll be more. I have another little Labyrinth video I want to do, just talking about something else interesting in this kind of way of things to practice. So this is about, what this one is about asking interesting questions. In this case, I was like, what if I borrow from the octatonic when I'm on the diminished, but moving in the minor sixth that's for the tritones minor? It would sound pretty on the 6 and the 5, I'm sure, or you could do that concept elsewhere. And it gives you a little extra notes. I thought, oh, I bet that's really pretty. I'll try it out. So, sometimes I see some comments. I love the comments you guys are making and the questions. All of them are wonderful. But sometimes people are kind of like adding in other things from elsewhere, like other ways of looking at stuff. But, and I have looked at lots of ways of looking at music and continue to do so. This doesn't cover everything that composers do, of course. But various ideas don't have a particular sound to them per se, any more than tonality does. Anybody that says that they sound old-timey or something maybe just learned a little bit and it's just like, oh, this is what it is, and they just know some minor 6 or something. But it doesn't really have a sound to it. It's just about exploring all of the possibilities of chromatic harmony within the 12-tone, equal temperament, and it's pretty extensive. So, I always think, like, instead of adding extra and adding more and more things to something, I like to get to know it really well first. And this is a beautiful way of exploring music and asking interesting questions. So I hope this has been interesting to you guys, and I hope you thought that question that I asked today was interesting. And I will follow up with more. So stay tuned and keep practicing.